because I think this was a major issue, or is a major issue in a lot of people's relationships, and it's based on other people's insecurities. And I've seen it become so destructive and toxic to their very well emotional and mental well-being. And then the Bible tells us, not to be envious or jealous of a wicked person. Remember, he says they lie in their own wickedness. Why would you be envious or jealous of somebody who's destructive to themselves or to their well-being or to their relationship? That's not anything. And usually when there's sin or darkness involved, there's all these negative emotions: envy, jealous, deceit, resentment, unforgiveness. So that's not something the Lord touched my heart and healed me. So those behaviors aren't anything that I would be jealous of, because they can't conquer their own dysfunction or demons that they're fighting, the strongholds in their life. That's where you get in the spirit of truth and you have the mourning and sackcloth. You're actually mourning for people because you know what you've overcome and what peace you've come to acknowledge, and it was because you alleviated the darkness out of your life or the strongholds, and you're mourning for other people because they can't even see they're betraying themselves, whether it's intentional or not. You can have humility and compassion for other people's lives, but that doesn't mean be delusional about it. I mean, we don't sway from what is apparent to us, the spirit of truth. I mean, that's what they say: if I become the enemy because I preach the truth, I would never be envious of someone who's still battling some kind of oppression in their relationships, their life, their future, their sound foundation. I mean, I just, and that doesn't mean I feel like I'm better than anybody. I'm better than I was. It's ironic to me that people think you're in competition with them, and I am not. I don't have a competitor. That's ego. That's pride. Remember, it goes before a fall of a man. I know what I've overcome, and it's funny to me that people in the dark will be like, "You think you're better than everybody? Oh, Miss Holier than thou." Self righteousness, and that's not the case, because I face warfare every day, because people that are not at the cross, they're in rebellion. That's warfare to me. That's where the persecutions come from. I see these videos about gang stalking and all this. Well, Jesus was gang stalked by religious hypocrites. He's like, they accused him of casting out demons by the power of Beelzebub. John the Baptist came eating. They accused him of being a glutton. People in the dark will always find flaws or faults in you, because their mind is in the corrupted mind, the carnal mind, the corrupted mind. Because in their disbelief, they're going to accuse you of the things that they don't trust in. And if they've never walked in that favor, they're not going to trust in it. It's unknown territory. So by default, they're going to knock you down because they're a tool for the enemy in the oppressed or negative emotions, for they know not what they do, Father. Especially it says when you're on the narrow path, you choose to be holy or set apart, this world will hate you. You'll be the cause of all their problems because they stand in conviction in your presence. People have fallen out of my life, but like I said, the separation will happen on its own when you come to the cross, because when I started strengthening my walk and reading the Word and following its guidance, be ye doers of the word, I would tell people, don't invite me to those places. And now, because I want to show faith, or want to, make people know that I love them, I have love in my heart. But, I had to quit creating cognitive dissonance in my life, because I can't go sit amongst people who are drinking and partying in front of the presence of children either, because then that means I'm coming in agreement with that. And I don't agree with that. I don't agree with destroying a child's future. I just don't, and I won't. So then I started separating myself. I don't go to certain things. And it says your enemies will be of your own house, because if you're truly the curse breaker and walking in the will of God, and you become the healed person and the cycle breaker, your family is going to feel convicted in your presence, because you're calling out the things that are very inappropriate for their own well-being, not because you want to condemn them, but because you want them to see how greatness, or what betterment they can walk in. They're deserving of it. I tell people all the time, you're a miracle. Speak life to them. And it's funny to me that they don't understand that, because some people have lived in darkness so long, they don't know how to accept agape or true love or the right kind of love. They'll water themselves down and have the same kind of relationships, or maybe it's lesser of dysfunction than the one before because they think they've gained some ground, but just a doorway, a latch that's unlocked, you can let the enemy in. That one little drink, that one little, that's a gateway, that's a doorway that you leave wide open. Your allowance is leaving it wide open. So, there is a strict, firm foundation, and your solidification or your sanctification or your peace, or you can't let people rob you of your joy. Saying no is sometimes your authority over the kingdom of darkness. Saying, no, I'm not doing that. No, I don't want to go. Or, be set apart. Love not the world. Come out of Babylon. Their sins have reached the heavens. Sometimes just sitting home. Sometimes not going in their presence. You can't sit in fires and think you're not going to get burnt, or it's going to cause, an unreality in your mind or your perception or perspective. I don't want to watch people die anymore by their own hands. And then they said not only do they do evil, they sit with others and do the same. They'll be sitting around drinking and laughing, making jokes while their elderly person is dying from alcoholism. That's what a delusional mind is, or a reprobate mind. They do what's not convenient for themselves. They know it kills, steals, and destroys people's lives, but they're sitting there still doing it and laughing about it, making jokes, thinking they're having a good time. There's nothing funny about that.